I've been catching up on some of the movies from last year that slipped through the net, and one that I enjoyed last week was the new version of Hellboy. It's based on the comic book created by Mike Mignola, and is about a demon who was summoned from hell by the Nazis at the end of the war, but he arrives on Earth as an infant, is captured by the Allies, and is raised by an occultist to be a defender of humanity against the forces of darkness and evil. As you may know, we've already had two Hellboy movies directed by Guillermo del Toro in 2004 and Hellboy 2 The Golden Army in, I think, 2008. And a third film has been a long time coming, and it finally arrived last year, directed by Neil Marshall of The Descent and Game of Thrones, and starring Stranger Things' David Harbour as Hellboy. It's effectively a reboot. Characters who've been killed in the Del Toro movies are now coming back to life, and any prospect of there being a third Del Toro Hellboy has apparently now evaporated. The plot of the movie is uninteresting. It's about the Blood Queen, played by Milla Jovovich, who is going to take over the world with hell-spawn creatures, and Hellboy and various other supernaturally powered agents have to fight and stop her. Unlike the Del Toro movies, which had a certain snap to them, a certain lightness of touch, even with the heavyweight violence and the enormous leading man, this feels very dry and dour, and it lacks delicacy, ironically enough. Whereas before we would see Hellboy playing with kittens and jovially getting drunk with his best friend who was a fish man, here he's just a grumpy teenager, and it's simply not interesting or engaging. We don't have the characters who we enjoyed before. We had the charmingly paternal professor played by John Hurt, and in this version the character's played by Ian McShane as a much tougher, less sympathetic mentor. The overall feeling of the movie is that it's a bit like a failed TV pilot, and it's a shame because Harbour is genuinely very good. It can't be easy acting through all those prosthetics and the headgear and everything like this, and the big thing on his arm and all of that. And some of the supporting turns are quite good. Milla Jovovich doesn't have to try too hard. Ian McShane is doing the Ian McShane performance. And overall it's kind of nothingy, which is a shame because there are sequences that really stand out. It's much more violent than the previous two movies. There are scenes of hell demons running amok in London, ripping people to shreds. But it's ultimately just hard to be engaged by and hard to take seriously. There is a sequence or rather a single shot, where Milla Jovovich's screaming head is severed from her body and flies through the air still screaming. And I started laughing because it was so absurd. And it was the one spike of interest that the film brought me. So if you enjoyed the previous movies, then good for you.